It's time now for the Radical SR1 Cup and their second race of the weekend. This is the entry-level championships of the world of Radical sports car racing, and for many of these drivers this weekend marks their circuit racing debut. We were treated to a brilliant race earlier on between Oliver Barker and James Taylor. It was Taylor who took the win, with Barker chasing all the way. Barker was then excluded from the results from a yellow flag infringement, but he has got every opportunity to make amends this time round. So it's Taylor and Barker on the front row of the grid. Sam Moores and Kai Wheatley form row 2 from Rob Ellis and Peter Brooks on the third row. Then row 4 is Tony Barwell and Spencer Bourne. Row 5, Christian Olsen and Richard Baxter. The 6th row is Andy Chittenden and Marco Nixie. Row 7, Paul Pearce and Peter Devlin. And the 8th row is James Holt. I'd like to say that I'm joined once more by the Radical SR1 Cup Championship Coordinator, Roger Green. And, well, Roger, the first race was just the perfect advert for Radical Racing.
Yes, it was, and we're hoping for more this time. The front row is quite interesting in that it's the same two guys, but they've swapped positions. James Taylor got away very well from P2 on the grid in the first race, taking the lead. He's now on the inside, down the bottom of the hill, so we'll see where the advantage lies really now this time. So if Taylor can get away from pole as well as he did in the first race, he should have the lead by the first corner. And then we could be set for a similar race to the first one, where he was trying to defend and hold off Oliver Barker for 20 minutes of frantic racing.
And this is going to be a 20-minute race once more. We did have a red flag late on in race 1. It was Christian Olsen who unfortunately ground to halt at the foot of Paddock Hill Bend, and that deprived us of a couple of minutes of action, but otherwise it was everything that you would have hoped for. These Radical SR1 Cup cars, really spectacular pieces of kit and a great introduction for drivers looking to progress up the Radical Motorsports ladder to the very highest echelons of international sports car GT racing. Graduates from the SR1 Club in European Le Mans Series at Imola today. We also have the first champion, Colin Noble, who is now racing in the International GT Open, with many drivers who progressed up to the Radical European Masters, which is a tour of some of Europe's finest circuits. In fact, you'll be able to join us through the Radical website next weekend at Spa-Francorchamps for the next round of the Radical European Masters. But that is all a pipe dream for many of these drivers for now. It's all about enjoying their first outing of the season and potentially their first circuit racing outing altogether as they come to the end of this green flag lap. Brands Hatch Indy Circuit, great way to start the season as well. The nice short lap gives the drivers plenty of opportunity to understand what the car's doing, understand about how to improve their times and performance lap upon lap. Well, Sam Moores was the driver who lines up in third, who was really disappointed in race 1. A poor start left him with limited scope to recover. Let's see what he can do this time around. The last couple of runners just about to come into their marks at the rear of the grid, which they do now. So it's the green flag away from the marshal at the rear of the pack. The 5-second board shown to the drivers as the red lights are about to come on, which they do now. Who's going to get the jump for the line? It's a long hold, and away we go. It's a brilliant, brilliant start from Sam Moores. It's a terrible start from Oliver Barker, who drops all the way to the tail of the field, but it's Kai Wheatley who is going to lead into Paddock Hill Bend for the first time of asking. The second row of the grid getting the jump on row 1 in second position. We have got Tony Barwell, who's emerged into second place, so a real shake-up of the order as Oliver Barker looking to carve through. In third place now, it's race 1 winner James Taylor. Up into fourth, we'll put that out in just a moment as they swoop out of Graham Hill Bend. Position still going on in the early running, and despite having made a good start, Sam Moores hasn't had such a good first lap. But for Kai Wheatley at the front of the field, this has been an absolutely phenomenal start to the race.
Yeah, it has. Very different to race 1. He's jumped the field and disappeared down the road at the moment. So this will be quite interesting with James Taylor now moving up to second place. Whether he can get the hammer down and catch up with Kai, and also obviously seeing Oliver Barker trying to make his way through the field. And
Barker, we will pick up his progress momentarily. Yeah, he was already 11th at the end of the first lap. Might be a little bit harder lap. The early stage of the second lap has actually got a little bit of ground to make up to the bulk of the field. We've got a car in trouble over at Clearways, which is pointing in the wrong direction, and that is unfortunately Marko Niksic, who has pirouetted towards the end of the first lap of the race. If he can't be recovered, then that is almost certainly going to prompt the intervention of the safety car. A little bit more challenging going on behind. And that is the 24 car of Peter Brooks, just trying to get onto terms with Tony Barwell. They are busy fighting over third and fourth. Marko Niksic is back underway. They're also being joined as well by Spencer Bourne, who finished the first race in the gravel track, and Sam Moores too. And Oliver Barker and James Taylor won't be pleased with their starts, but certainly made, Roger, for a very interesting race.
Yes, it has. We had the first race where the two of them got away from the field and were pulling away, even though that they were fighting amongst themselves. This time it's very different. See, Kai Wheatley is still making good his escape, but James Taylor is catching him with the fastest lap that we've seen so far, 1.3 seconds behind, and gaining at about 0.8 of a second a lap at the moment. So he's closing that gap very quickly.
There he is at the back of the train as they all arrive into Druids, and that is now the real challenge for Barker. Meanwhile, what about at the front of the field? Taylor trying to close up to Kai Wheatley. There's Taylor, he's got a big advantage now over Tony Barwell in third place. Fourth, we have got Peter Brooks, and this train of cars behind. To find a bit of grounders through the gravel track. Rejoining is Peter Brooks, and he was in fourth. He was pressurising, trying to get third. Now, does that open the door here for Oliver Barker? He certainly thought about having a little bit of a challenge. That was Rob Ellis he's doing battle with, but Ellis, another driver who you'd expect to see further up the order, also struggling to pick his way up through the traffic. They've got Christian Olsen just ahead of them. As Barker looks to the outside at Druids, that's going to allow Ellis back to the inside as they head downhill towards Graham Hill Bend. And this, Christian Olsen is able to carve past Richard Baxter, and as Baxter runs wide, it also gives Barker there's the chance to get past. What we've also got is the two leaders running in very close company as well along the Brabham Straight. As we focus on the battle between Ellis and Barker, the race leaders into Paddock Hill Bend, as James Taylor has closed right up onto Kai Wheatley. Here they go. That didn't take too long at all, but of course what we're seeing for both Barker and Taylor in this race is that it's one thing to be able to set the lap times in qualifying on a track day, it's quite another now that they have to dig into their reserves of racecraft and find a way past the cars in front.
Yes, and that's what we're going to see James Taylor having to do now. He didn't have to do that in the first race because he led away from the start and was just defending. So this is a new challenge for him. There's the pair of them making a breakaway from the rest of the field, and it's those two out front and pretty much everybody else for third place at the moment. So we've got some really good battles going on, and it's hard to know where to look. But at the moment, the fight for first place, it looks like James Taylor is trying to line up Kai Wheatley as they go through Paddock Hill Bend to see if he can get a good drive out of there with a run up the hill towards Druids. And it does look like he's going to have an attempt, but there's no room there. Kai closes the door fairly, but quite firmly. There's no room on the inside. So James is just going to have to rethink his options.
And what's quite interesting as well, Roger, is that both of them quite like to have the car moving around underneath them a little bit, whereas Oliver Barker earlier on was pretty much glued to the road. James Taylor was moving around a bit, and the same for Kai Wheatley. Meanwhile, here is Oliver Barker. He's found a way past Rob Ellis. His next target is Christian Olsen. This is battle for 8th and 9th position. Barker looks to the inside of Olsen into Surtees. Oh, there's not a lot of space there, and there was even less space as they turned through the apex. They avoided contact as where to look. There are fantastic fights going on throughout the field. The two leaders through Paddock absolutely conjoined. Oliver Barker really is finding tricky going. James Taylor likewise in pursuit of Kai Wheatley. Kai has just got a little bit more experience in terms of race mileage compared to James Taylor, and therefore he knows where to position the car to make Taylor do all the hard work. Oliver Barker still frustrated by finding a way past Christian Olsen. And Roger, this really demonstrates why the Radical SR1 Cup is so good, because these drivers, they may have been quickly qualified, but because these cars are so evenly matched, they really have to rely on racecraft.
Yes, they do, and like you say, you're really seeing the difference here between Kai, who has a year of racing under his belt in the SR1 Cup, who doesn't quite have the pace in qualifying that James showed this morning, but he's able to hold him off. He's able to use a bit of racecraft here and keep his line, keep his lap times consistent while still defending, which you can see going into Druids Bend. But also with the tyres that we run on these not slick tyres but a treaded tyre, which allows different driving styles as well. So with the slick, you've got to be always very accurate and precise. With these tyres, you can let the car slide around a little bit more underneath you if that's the way you like to drive, and that's what we saw earlier with the difference between Barker and Taylor.
Next challenge here for this leading group is going to be traffic. Meanwhile, Barker has found a way past Christian Olsen. That is 8th place then for Barker. His next target is going to be Peter Brooks. And Peter was very strong in the early stages, but he runs and takes the more swooping line out of Clark Curve. That leaves the door open for Oliver Barker. That's the car with the red trim. He moves past as a challenge for the lead, and through goes Taylor up at Druids. They caught some traffic through Paddock Hill Bend, and I suspect that opened the door for James Taylor to find a way past Kai Wheatley. Whatever, he's now found a way through, and given how quickly Taylor was able to run, is that he will probably be able to pull clear and reasonably quickly. Meanwhile, in 3rd place is Spencer Bourne, in 4th place Tony Barwell, 5th place is Sam Moore, 6th place is Andy Chittenden, 7th place is Oliver Barker, and then 8th place is Brooks, 9th place Olsen, 10th place Baxter. Oh, we've got another car in trouble, and unfortunately that's Peter Brooks, who's beached on the curb up at Druids. The marshals attempting to pull him clear. Now, whilst the SR1 Cup car is fairly lightweight, I'm not sure it's 2 people trying to get it off a curb lightweight. And given the yellow flag in earlier, they are going to have to be very mindful of behaving themselves, and unfortunately the game is up for Peter Brooks. He jumps out of the car, he therefore lightens the chassis by about 50 kilograms. He paid me a fiver earlier, and therefore it becomes that little bit easier to move. We've got one car just in the process of being lapped. So Taylor from Wheatley, then Bourne, Barwell, Moores and Barker. Really the question I think is going to be about the progress that Oliver Barker can make. Here he comes across the line, and in fact he's already up into 5th position. It's not beyond the realms of possibility here, Roger. Oliver Barker's going to recover for the podium.
Yes, that's definitely on the cards with the pace that Barker has. Also, we're certainly learning some more racecraft this afternoon with overtaking after the start that he had. But in 3rd place, still Spencer Bourne. That's a really good drive from him. Obviously, he had disappointment in the first race, ending up in the gravel, and also Tony Barwell up there. So he's now got Barker on his tail, and he's defending. So he's driving really well.
Meanwhile, trying to break clear of Kai Wheatley as our race leader, James Taylor, but Wheatley staying with him a little bit more than we would have expected. And particularly as we've still got the yellow flags up at Druids, as that car attempts to be removed, and unfortunately the safety car does indeed come out, as the marshals, having tried just about everything, have unfortunately now had to call for mechanical assistance to remove the car of Peter Brooks. So that's going to bunch the field back up once more, and this now gives Oliver Barker a golden opportunity to make some ground and potentially even challenge for the race win. It depends how quickly he can. The 8th row, it's tossed. gains that on the other, he loses a lot of time. So to just bring you up to speed with the time check, we've got 8.5 minutes remaining by the time that the recovery is complete at Druids. If we have even just one lap behind the safety car, that's going to give us only about 6.5 minutes of racing. So they're only going to have time for 6 or 7 more laps when we do go green, which takes away the opportunity to make ground for Oliver Barker. For James Taylor, though, this has been an absolutely brilliant performance from Taylor, because in race 1 he was having to defend pretty much in every single corner. This time around, the boot's been on the other foot. He's been on the offensive and he's done the job perfectly.
Yes, but in race 1 he was also in the lead behind the safety car and didn't quite get the restart perfect, which gave Oliver Barker an opportunity for a pass into Paddock Hill Bend in the first race. So this time he's got to get the restart right. And like you say, there's obviously winners and losers every time there's a safety car out. But what it does do, it allows Druids to be cleared, so we can have some clean racing all the way around the track for the remainder of the race. It looks like the car is almost in a safe place, so it might not be too long before we go racing again.
What they've done is put Peter Brooks back in the car, going to give it a mighty heave off the curb, because obviously with the track live they can push it forwards, they can only try and move it backwards, and hoping that is going to be enough to get that car up and running. So across the line goes the safety car. 7 minutes left on the clock. This completes the 14th lap of the race. It's James Taylor who leads from Kai Wheatley. 3rd place is Spencer Bourne. 4th place is Tony Barwell. 5th place Oliver Barker. 6th place Sam Moores. 7th is Andy Chittenden. 8th place is Richard Baxter. 9th place Christian Olsen. And completing the top 10 is Paul Pearce. The D&G recovery vehicle about to work its magic. Probably going to have this lap and one more behind the safety car. So when we do go racing, it is going to be with about 4.5 minutes left on the clock. It's my suspicion. That last lap behind the safety car was a 1 minute 23. Thereabouts. And this is all part of the discipline for these new drivers, because it's such a huge transition from doing 10-15 laps in a track day to then having to get through the discipline of a race weekend and having to have the flexibility to deal with everything that's thrown at you, because you can get into a rhythm, the safety car comes out, you've got to stay calm, you've got to stay composed, and then get back on it as soon as it goes green again.
Yes, you have, and obviously you've got to get your tactics right on the restart as well. It looks like one more lap. The errant Peter Brooks' car is now moved to a safe place, so it looks like we'll probably go green again at the end of this lap. In 3rd place, Spencer Bourne is one of the guys that's made up most places from his grid position. He started in 8th place, and Kai Wheatley has made up 2 places for 2nd. So 2nd and 3rd are the biggest winners so far in this race from their qualifying position. But obviously they're going to have to fend off the attentions of Oliver Barker once we go green.
And we will almost certainly be going green at the end of this lap, and James Taylor is well aware of that. He's dropped back from the safety car, waiting for the lights to flash out, which they do now. Barker, or Taylor rather, backs the field up. Kai Wheatley, the orange and silver car behind him. Car number 4 is slightly erroneous. That's Marko Niksik, and that is potentially going to be a little bit of a distraction for some of the drivers fighting for 3rd and beyond, because it will give the leading duo the chance to break clear, as now James Taylor waits for the right moment to get on the throttle again. He leaves it very, very late, and he pulls the pin now, and that's much better from James Taylor. It gives him a bit of a buffer over Kai Wheatley as the pair of them get the race underway. Everybody else having to wait until they get past start finish line. Is already Oliver Barker looking to challenge as they hurtle towards Paddock Hill Bend, and Barker should go through here past Tony Barwell. Wait to confirm that as they come out of Paddock, climb up towards Druids, looking for the red-nosed 22 car. There he goes. He's made that move stick, already immediately onto terms with Spencer Bourne. And that is race leader, James Taylor. Kai Wheatley behind him. Now, where is Spencer Bourne? There he is. Where's Oliver Barker? Right behind him. They've got Marko Niksik to try and pull back on as well. This is the last faster than Spencer Bourne wants. A little bit of distraction. That's really good driving though from Marko Nixic. Gives them both plenty of space. Doesn't interrupt that fight for third at all. Let's accelerate through. This completes the 17th lap of the race. We've got just 3.5 minutes left on the clock. And Barker launches into the inside at Paddock Hill Bend. Brilliantly executed move there from Oliver Barker. And there was absolutely nothing that Spencer Bourne could do. And with 3.5 laps left in this race, Roger, could he close down Kai Wheatley?
Well, it's a big gap, but he does have the speed advantage, and you can see already how he's pulling away from Spencer Bourne. He's not going to give up on it, that's for sure. So he's got probably half the length of the back straight there to make up at the moment, and just under 3 minutes to do it in. So we've got 4, maybe 5 laps to go.
It's going to be very close, as particularly Kai Wheatley set his personal best lap of the race last time around. There's so much scrapping going on throughout the field as well. The race leaders are through and past us. Oliver Barker has set the fastest lap of the race, and it's a 49.8. It's a whole second quicker than Kai Wheatley, and he's 3 seconds back from Wheatley. This is not sorted for second place just yet. It's going to depend, well, at the current rate of capture, they'll be on each other pretty much into the final turn. Meanwhile, Sam Moores squabbling for position, desperately trying to hold off the attentions of Andy Chittenden. It's been a race-long frenetic fight. Now here is Oliver Barker through Surtees. 20 seconds clear of Sam Bourne. It's the next group of cars. It's Moores and Chittenden, then Baxter and Olsen, all running in chain. This is for 6th, 7th and 9th place. They've only got about 3 or so miles with which to resolve the scrap. The leaders are through, and it's another fastest lap of the race, a 49.6 for Oliver Barker. It's 1.5 seconds quicker than Kai Wheatley. Is now within just 1.9 seconds of Kai Wheatley, and the battle for second place, it's about to arrive into Graham Hill Bend, is very close as Christian Olsen looks to the inside of Richard Baxter. Here comes Kai Wheatley. There is Oliver Barker, and he has closed this time down in absolutely the blink of an eye. They're probably going to get 2 more laps out of this race as well. And that is going to give Barker the opportunity to catch and challenge Wheatley for second place. Barker uses every inch of the road, gets the power down, and really he needs to try and catch Kai Wheatley by surprise here. He'll know that he's not got too long to wait. He knows that if Wheatley sees his moves, he'll be able to start parrying, but Kai Wheatley kicks the car into Paddock Hill Bend. Really aggressive change of direction from Wheatley as Barker challenges the inside up to Drew. As Wheatley hides the inside line, forces Barker out wide. Barker doesn't keep his footing, he doesn't get the overlap down to Graham Hill Bend. Again, Kai Wheatley knows to defend, covers the inside line, forces Barker to try for the switch back along the Cooper Straight. Wheatley looks to defend it. Barker draws alongside into Surtees, very close, and Wheatley darts across, covers the line, uses all the road on the exit, and then hugs it tight into clearways. Brilliant racing between the pair of them. They are about to take the checkered flag as well. The clock has ticked down. It's going to be a double victory for James Taylor in the Radical SR1 Cup. And Kai Wheatley just holds on for second place from Oliver Barker after a brilliant last lap of the race, with Spencer Bourne in 4th place and 5th claimed by Tony Barwell. Well, Roger, that was quite the conclusion.
Yes, it was another fantastic race there in the SR1 Cup, and it looks like we're set for an exciting season all the way through with driving like that. Whenever you see that, it always amazes me that for most of these guys, it's been their first race, and they've been dicing close, they've been dicing clean, and James Taylor has obviously come away with a pair of wins. Oliver Barker will be fighting all the way through the year, you can see that, and obviously a great result there for Kai Wheatley to come home second.
So super racing from the Radical SR1 Cup, and well, they will next be in action on the 16th of July at Alton Park, then the 3rd of September at Cadwell Park, and the 9th of October on the Snetterton 300 circuit. But if that hasn't sated your appetite for Radical racing, then don't forget next weekend it's the Radical European Masters for a triple header on the Spa-Francorchamps circuit, and that is always one of the events of the season for the Radical European Masters. For James Taylor, the perfect way to start his circuit racing career as he heads in to post-race scrutineering. He is the double winner of the Radical SR1 Cup, clear of Kai Wheatley and Oliver Barker in race 2.
James, that restart kind of worked in your favour, didn't it?
I know when the safety car came out, I thought, not another safety car, surely. But managed to do the restart better. Had a bit of advice from, if you can hear me, it's quite nice now. Had some good advice from my mechanic on the restart. Went really well. So thanks to Tom and Rob for their restart advice. It works.
I mean, all in all, a fantastic weekend for you. You must be really pleased.
Yeah, it's been a dream. It couldn't have gone any better, and it probably won't sink in for a little while. So I'm very, very happy.
Good. Enjoy every moment of your well-deserved drink. Kai, Kai, you had it. You were doing so well for so long, and then the restart happened, and then James.
Oh yeah, no, these boys are a good bit quicker, so I was just pleased to be mixing it with them anyway. So no, absolutely loved it out there. It's fantastic.
Yeah. How was it generally for you in terms of the racing?
It's a tough circuit to overtake, so I tried my best. I had a good race in the first race, and this one was equally good fun. So absolutely great weekend.
Yeah, and you're pleased with the result in the end?
Really pleased. I'm delighted.
Yeah, thank you. There we go. So, Oliver, that was a bit of a sort of, it was a great recovery race for you, and you were on a real mission, weren't you, after last time?
Yeah, I was determined to get back to the front of the grid. It was a nightmare having the stall. Safety car helped me out middle of the race, packed everybody up, and that gave me the opportunity to get further up the order.
Yeah, I mean, you really did fight your way through. It was quite incredible, very impressive.
Yes, yeah. Well, I just wanted to take advantage of the safety car and work my way back up the grid. So we did a good job. Got back to third. I think it was a good recovery drive.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more. Thank you very much.